what is the course content from CloudShine. As I was mentioning, we used to have this group like this, and we'll be going to provide documentation, and each folder has student guides and many other. Okay, this will help you to practice by yourself. A lot of documents will be there, subledger accounting, GL. So this is only GL mod. So likewise, we'll be going to provide the documentation. I'm going to provide a certification questions for the financial modules to clear the certification. And we used to conduct a kind of, not a kind of conducting the exam. We will be giving some questions and trying to understand how extent that you guys have understand the training. The same questions will be used for certification. So I've seen that even I used to do the certification almost every year. I used to get 96%. Maybe you guys may get at least 90%. That is for sure with that questions. Okay. And with the interest of other people's, we will also give I will also spend some time on the reporting. Okay. On Saturdays, weekends actually. Okay. On top of that, so we are going to give the training, especially the introduction part, like resources, Fusion security, right? Fusion security means creation of roles, role assignment. Here in the cloud, data security is little different than e-business suite. If anyone has any experience in EBS, you might see different, but here this completely data security is completely different. Securities happens using the roles on data access sets. Okay, data access set, role assignments, and user creation. And general ledger. This is one of the module, GL module. So in GL module, we are going to provide configuration of. So when we talk about these things, right? You guys are also going to practice this one, and you will be having a hands-on experience. It's every configuration. And for that, we will give an instance access. It will be there almost like 90 days after. So you guys individually going to practice it. When you practice that, you are going to mark your practice here in this session, in this sheet. In the sheet will be there in the OneDrive. Okay. And you need to mark your practice here, that whether you are able to complete or not. And you have not completed, then you will mark it as some comments here. This is what the reason that I could not able to come. Meaning, not the reason that I'm busy, I'm not that one. If you are facing any issues, then you are going to mark it here, saying that this is the issue that I'm facing. So I will review offline and I'll address the issues. Okay. And I'm sorry, I got the wrong slide. Okay. So we are going to have setup of account hierarchies, configuration, chart of accounts. Subledger accounting is an accounting method and accounting rules that we will group the subledger data when it transfers to GL. So that is also we are going to discuss in detail under reporting analytics. When you say that reporting analytics here, we are not going to create a reporting analytics in detail. How extend the functional person required, only that extent we are going to discuss. But as I mentioned earlier, I am going to discuss end to end from the scratch, creating complete dashboards and everything, analytics, prompts, OTBI report, BI publisher reports, subject areas, right? RPD. So these are all the details that I'll discuss separately. Okay. And budgeting and encumbrance details also we talk about. And once we create any configurations, right? These are all the configurations. Then in order to test these configurations, what we do, we will create a transactions system and try to understand the flow, how the data will flow, how our configurations are working, right? On top of the configurations that we have done, we will create a transactions. That's what here. Journal creation, journal processing, configuring journal processing, explain the journal approval process. And then we have a module called intercompany. This is also part of like an GL, but it's an intercompany module. Here we are going to talk about the intercompany balancing rules, intercompany transactions, reconciliations, intercompany accounting and segment level rules, right? And period close. So every module has a process of period close, not only for GL, every module we need to close, meaning usually once we have done the transactions in April period, right? We end of the period, we need to understand how much business that you have done. Assume that I started my own medical shop, okay? So in the specific time of specific period, an entire April month, at the 31st of the month, I'll just start counting that how much money I collected in this month and what is my expenditure. Like I brought the medicines, right? So how much money I spent in order to buy those medicines, and then how much money I got total. So whatever money I spent minus how much money I got, remaining will be a profit. So those kind of things that actually the balance sheet, that is what we do. But again, if I go back, if I'm running in the May month, I won't go back to the April period and April month, and again I won't do the business, right? So, but system don't know how it works. People can also go back to the April period and create some transactions. So we don't need that kind of concept here. So actually we will close the period so that no one can create the transactions there. We will discuss this in the details in the training as well. Again, this is the payable module. Though we talk about an intercompany is part of GL, that is actually a separate module, intercompany. So intercompany itself is its own business functionality, right? And payables, we talk about invoicing, entire invoicing process and expenses means whatever expenses that we do, especially employee expenses, right? Employee travels around the world and for the company's work. So usually company will give us the money, or maybe we spend the money from our pocket, then company will claim that money from the company. So that is an expense related. That's also integrated with the accounts payable. That is a different module altogether. So, okay, other payable topics like, close process, configurations, business unit, execution report, and payments. Payments means usually once we create an invoice, we need to do the payments. In the payments, we'll also talk about, since it is Oracle Cloud and it is out of our network. If you remember, if you are working in a company, what happens? We work in a certain network, company's network. And any data transfers between the network, there is no problem. Within the network, there is no problem. Assume that if you are working for Cognizant, or maybe if I'm working for Microsoft, or any product company, Samsung, okay? If I'm working in the Samsung might be having a different data centers. Data might be transferring within the data centers. But those data centers comes under Samsung network. Now, our application is in the cloud. From the cloud is being maintained by the Oracle. From the cloud Oracle maintained network, we need to bring the data back to bank. So we need to send the data to bank. That requires a bank integration. And also it requires a security, encryption, decryption, security we need, because data transfer, payment data transfers includes bank accounts and others, sensitive information which require an encryption. Okay, those things also will be discussed there. Usually bank integration and reports. Okay, again, it's been mentioned for every module. And receivables also, we talk about reporting and billing, receipts, receivable management. So all those things in the receivables. And cash management, also let me just spend some time here. Yeah, so in cash management, we'll talk about bank account, bank branches, creation of accounts, reconciliation, cash management is actually, manual intervention is very rare. Everything can be automated, end to end, like receiving bank statements. Why we need cash management? In our application, from the receivables. If you say receivable module itself, you receive the money. We'll talk about that in detail. Okay, I'll just have a flow charts here. We'll discuss. So we receive the money in payables. Payable itself, name it as payables, right? We'll do the payment. In both the cases, receivables or payables, both the cases, it reflect our bank account. It impact our bank account, right? So now we need to understand how the bank statements. Usually we will do the payment, Google Pay, GPay, anything that we do. Or maybe we are doing online payments. Assume that I logged into my account in the online. I did some online payment. I never know that how that is being reflected, unless how that is being reflected in the other person as well. So unless bank will send a statement, or else we will download the bank statement, right? So that kind of reconciliation that here we will do automation. Complete automation will be done, and what is called passing rules, tolerance, right? Mapping configuration. What are all the type of bank statements and cash management can accept? No? All those cash positioning, forecasting, and intra-bank transfers, and all those things that we will discuss in the cash management. Fixed assets, we'll talk about asset life cycles, we'll talk about asset configurations as like other modules. Every module, whatever module I just going through now, every module will do the configurations. In order to test our configurations, we create some test data. That way you will get an experience in all the entire module. You get a good functionality experience that helps you to understand and attend the interview. Just like working in real world, right? Usually what happens, we will create kind of a company, dummy company, which is in a multinational company, so that we can cover all the functionalities as well as all the configurations, assuming that we are really working in the company. That is how the training goes actually. So usually we will talk about like we are going to create one company, enterprise structure, that is sitting in the US, and business started in US, and also we have a business in India. Business started in US, we also have a business in Dubai or any South Asian country. I'm sorry, any South Asian country. So that way we create a company in this application. It's a multinational company, and we'll try to cover all the functionalities. So which will help us to understand how really we are working in real world. That will give that feeling, that sense. That is what we will do actually. So here in the fixed assets, we talk about all the fixed asset modules, script system controls, flexi fields, and asset books, right? And what is corporate book, what is tax book, how the asset is being maintained, how asset life cycle, depreciation, everything like the categories, depreciation methods, acquisition and transactions, everything that will be discussed. Okay, retirement and re-impairments, then reports for assets. This is actually course content, which means what we talk about in our course. We'll be talking about resources, security, general ledger, accounts payable, cash management, fixed assets, and account receivable. These are all the Oracle modules that we are going to discuss throughout our training in detail. Okay. What is these modules all about? How these are all interrelated. Okay. Okay. Before we talk about, let's try to understand what is the security. Data security is being used. And okay, someone is asking the question. Right. So BPM approval process, we will see, but revaluation, translation, everything has been part of GL. Okay, consolidation, revaluation, translation is been part of GL. That will, when you talk about GL, we will cover everything. And approval process, maybe we'll create very simple customizations, and we'll see how the approval process works. Maybe you might not be experienced in complex scenario in the approval, but however in GL, everything has been covered, including allocations. Okay. Okay. Thank you for asking the question. Anyway, so we talk about the documentation part.
Yeah, quick question on approvals. So typically industries, especially around vouchers and when you're paying, when cash is going out of your organization, you have very strict and stringent approval workflows. Do you cover those areas?
At higher level. So we cover any one module like AP or GL. Usually I used to take AP, but yeah, since you're asking about payments or cash management, we can cover BPM at very high level, that how the BPM looks like and how to customize. We'll take one sample example and we'll customize and we'll try to create a transaction and see how that customization reflects. So those things that we do.
And you just talked about fixed assets. So financials, is there a reverse auction or is there an auction facility within Oracle Fusion where I know retirement is one common facility, but can auction also be?
Reinstatement is the process that we can bring the asset active back once we, by mistake or any reason, that you paid the asset.
No. If you like to dispose of the asset, there's a residual value, but suppose you're using a truck and you want to dispose it off. Can you do auction for such disposal? Not sale, an auction.
Right. Even disposal, yeah, we can do that.
Right.
Even disposal that we can do it in fixed assets. That's true. Yeah, that will be discussed. That is part of our training. That will be discussed. So starting from creation of asset and understanding the asset forecasting, asset age, and disposal of the asset, and asset transfers between the locations, asset transfer between the organizations, right? And also how the tax book works and all those things will be discussed. Yeah.
And typically you go through a regular functional flow like fit gap. See, these are the things. I think Fusion will have something like that in Fusion, right? Where you have the implementation steps. You talk to those steps with the customer saying this is what is available in Fusion. Now let's go through discovery and see if that's a fit or a gap within your system.
Okay, so I do involve in the fit gap few organizations. Recently, I'm just started thinking about Marvels, right? Recently, in a year back, we involved in the fit gap analysis. That we won't do in the training. Okay, so that we won't do. What is the only thing that I can explain, and we are explaining it. If you have any old applications that you guys are using, like especially ERP applications, whenever there is a possibility that we will compare, this is what we have in the old functionality, this is the new functionality. That level of explanation will be given other than the regular training. But fit gap analysis is not been part of the training, because that is up to the company, every individual company, how their complexity of their business runs, how that can be fit to the company, right? Yeah.
Right. No. That's the fundamental of a functional person, right? I mean, when he goes into an organization for an implementation, he has to map the Fusion product to their business processes, and he would do that via fit gap, right? So I think what you're trying to say is your implementation steps, configuration steps is what will be offered, and then you can go over the configuration steps with the customer to see if their processes will require those steps or not.
Right. See, that again, the fit gap analysis, it depends to the company to company. Every company, it may not be the same kind of fit gap analysis that we do. Right? So I've done Marvels, I've done Trinamics, I've done 2 to 3 companies recently, but every company has its own. But again, fit gap analysis takes its own time. If you remember, if you understand that, at least it required 10 to 15 days, because when I started discussing the fit gap analysis, the business users have many questions to ask. Everything need to be answered, and how that can be achieved in the new functionality. So those things will be there, but that is not part of the training. Only thing that here, what is Oracle Cloud offers, how extent that we can customize the application. How can we make this application work for the business users? They ask. So in general, how the functionality, how can we implement, how can we apply the business here, what kind of configurations that we need to do in order to achieve that. And if we do the configurations, first we need to test that configurations, whether our configurations are working or not. So those kind of things that will be done, but the fit gap analysis is not part of training.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for, yeah, that's really, valid question. Some of them maybe, fit gap analysis. I do understand that your, question, and I do understand where you are going, but yeah, that is not been part of this. Okay. So the documentation that we discussed first in the training, and even today also we'll see how the documentation works. In cloud, usually documentation may not be included in any of the training, but here in cloud, documentation is very much important. The reason is, quite often we need to go to the Oracle documentation place, need to download some templates because it's a cloud. We need to send the data, we need to get the data, we need to correct some data. So we always depends on some of the documents. Documents actually integrates with the cloud application. So we have ADFDA, FBDA templates. Some templates will be there. That templates we need to download from the cloud. And also you no need to worry about Googling the. So if you don't know anything, usually people what do, they'll Google that. So what is this and how to achieve and all those. You no need to do that for cloud. Everything will be there in the documentation. Assume that I'm a technical person. What kind of REST APIs that I need to use? What APIs that I need to use? Where to go? And I'm a functional person. What kind of configurations that we have? What are all the configurations we have in the specific module? And how to achieve that? So everything will be there in the documentation. So which means documentation is very much important for the cloud application, especially who are working in cloud. They need to understand which information is available where. So that's the reason we'll go through the documentation part also. That is called resources. And data security. Data security means how the data, since it is in cloud, how the data security works for our application. So we talk about data security in detail, like creation of user, creation of customizing the existing roles, and customizing and creating our own custom roles, right? How that is being secured depends within the module. How can we create multiple security? All those data security will be discussed. Right?
So
And
you help create a security matrix on the delivered product, of course.
right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hey, another thing, I think I'm going to digress a little over here. I don't see commitment control and budgeting. It doesn't that fall? Does Oracle Fusion? Is there an offering in that area from Oracle Fusion?
Right. We have the budgeting controls that also comes as part of GL, but we are not. We just talking about encumbrance, how that works, and but very higher level. But in detail, budgeting is not been included as part of this training. Yeah.
But that's an important function.
If you talk about any modules, right? Each module takes its own course of time. We were trying to complete this in the 60 hours, right? So in the 60 hours, what are all the offerings that we can try? We have included. If you compare with even any of the trainings, like if you take only one module, right? One module itself, it takes 60 to 70 hours. If you just think about it. So we are offering in 60 hours. We're trying to offer as much as possible, right? And so certain details may not be included, like in budgeting and whatever. PPM also included, but not in detail. Certain details will not be there, but yeah, you guys need to understand that we have some stipulated time. Within that, we are going to cover a lot of information, right? We are going to cover multiple modules. What I mean, you understand what I mean? Yeah. So budgeting here. Okay, so general ledger, in the general ledger is actually a book of records that where we understand what is our income statement, what is our balance, what are all the taxes that we are paying. So usually how our business is running in general. If you take one small store or anything, usually what we do, we will write in the book. In one book, these are the medicines, these are the things that we bought, and this is the MRP rate and how much we spent. Where it is reflecting, and all those things will be general ledger. Okay, and payables is actually a payment related. Like we are buying some raw material. If suppose Hyundai company or some companies that they are just making some cars, they will buy materials from the other vendors as well. Like a tire will be buy from C8, or maybe the different raw materials they buy and they create end product. So in order to do buying a raw material, they need to have a payment system that where they can do the payments. They need to track their payments. All those things will be there in the payables. Again, cash management is a reconciliation system that we reconcile against the bank statements, right? And asset is not fixed assets is the one where we maintain our assets. For example, I have company owns some land, sites, buildings, to own it, even laptops, or maybe buying any materials, that inventory items, that anything that is there. So company required to maintain the asset. Every asset has its own life cycle. Assume that laptop, any corporate companies, when they offer the laptop for the employees, so a laptop validity will be 4 years, even though laptop still works for after 4 years, but actually they keep it as 4 years, right? So that validation, forecasting, asset age and asset life cycle and everything will be tracked in the fixed asset. Assume that they are constructing real estate company. So they are constructing some buildings. That construction is also part of a project that we need to see how much money we are spending. Then once that building is offered for functioning, like any office is started, then that will become an actual asset, and how the age of that, how the value is getting increased or decreasing, something like that. So everything is being tracked in the fixed assets. Intercompany, again, within the organization, between the companies. So we have one organization, in that we'll be having, assume that one landmark group is there. That landmark group has Lifestyle and Max. We just regularly go to the shopping or anything. Max is a different organization, different shareholders, and Lifestyle is a different organization, different shareholders. Both of them under landmark company. So as an organization, both comes under one organization, but both are different companies. So if you do some transaction between those companies, which will be an intercompany. Sorry. Okay. Those things also we talk about. Allocations is also part of the intercompany. Subledger accounting. And the receivables. Receivables means we receive the money. Like, we got the we got the raw material, we built one car and we are selling the car. Now, person who is buying the car is a customer to us, and we are buying the car. For that, we receive the money. While we are receiving the money, that we need to track in the system, that is called receivables. Okay, how the money is being tracked. And the same example that I've taken, like Lifestyle, right? Lifestyle, every day they're selling number of shirts, pants, or any home centers, appliances, or anything that they do. Every item, how much money they received, right? What is the MRP, how much money they received, everything that need to be tracked. And there will be a big suppliers also will be there, large suppliers. From them also that we receive the money. So all those things, receiving the money is also been maintained in the receivables. Okay. These are all the modules, and we'll talk about how these modules are interrelated. Usually, general ledger, right? I just talked about general ledger, like statements, balances, income statements, that we try to understand. General ledger is the module where we can easily understand how our business is running as a whole, like how much profit we got, what is the total summarized transactions at the end of the month, what is our summarized transactions, how much money we spent, how much money we received, how much taxes that we paid, everything that we can easily understand during the period of time. Even we can do the income statements, like, within 1 year, how our business is running, what kind of steps that we need to take in order to improve, or maybe these areas are running good and these areas are not running good. Those kind of justification also we can do based on the income statements, balance sheet, profit and loss, and all those things in the general ledger module. Here we talk about accounts payable, cash management, and fixed assets, or any module. All these modules we used to call it as a subledger modules. Okay. Every subledger module data need to be transferred to GM. Then only we'll get to know, right? For example, I'm receiving the money, it's a receivable module. Receivable module data need to be transferred to GM. Also, I'm paying the money in the payable module. That also need to be transferred to GM. Now, how much money I spent, how much money I just received. If you do how much money I received minus how much money I spent, you'll get the actual profit. So if you want to do that kind of calculation, you need all the data in one place, like payable data and receivable data. Likewise, from other modules also, we will receive the data into the general ledger. Here, when you do receive the data from general ledger, we'll be having one layer here called subledger account. Because every subledger modules has itemized transactions, right? This transaction has this MRP and this is the quantity that I purchased. So subledger in the subledger level, in these modules at the subledger level, we'll be having detailed levels of transactions. When it comes to GL, we don't need that detail because we just do the profit and loss and balance sheet balances or income statement calculations to understand that. Why do we need again enter 10 pages of data, right? If you are generating some report, I need just 2 to 3 lines of report where I can easily understand how my business is running. I don't need again itemized transaction. There's no purpose of it because you already have those itemized transactions in subledger modules, which is also sitting in the same cloud application. If someone wanted to see in detail transactions, we can drill down back. I have a summarized line here in the GL, and I need to understand what is the summarized line in detail. You have a drill down application feature where you can drill down back to subledger. From 1 transaction to 10 transactions, it will bring in the application itself. That is explicitly we need to do a drill down, but data will be in the summarized manner. Okay. So in order to summarize that data before it transfers to GL, we'll be having a subledger account. There will be some accounting rules that are actually driven by the local authority, government or any peoples, that how you want to summarize your details, right? Based on that accounting method, accounting rules that defines, so we will be having a subledger accounting where we can customize our rules as well, depends on our company needs, right? So as I understand, Oracle is already provided the accounting rules that covers entire US area, right? And it also covers for UK and South Asia. Unless that is not been satisfied your requirement, you can also customize that. How to summarize the data. This help us to summarize the data and transfer to GL. Okay. This is especially the modules relation, all those things. Let's go to the documentation, which I was talking about, like docs.oracle.com, right? The documentation and resources. Let's see where to go, how to find, and all those things. Other than the documents that we provide, and we also have the documentation in Oracle Cloud. This is the site that we can use. Site offer, we will come to the site, right, for the documentation. Since we are here, if you guys are observing, we'll be having infrastructure information, networking, file storage, object stores. This is called actually PAAS component. Okay, this is called SAAS applications. And also we have database related. If we expand this, we can see the Oracle databases. We have ATP, Autonomous Transaction Processor, is one of the database. ADW, Autonomous Data Warehouse, is one of the database. So when you talk about database, actually, if application is now on-premises, we'll be having an access to all the tables and data. We can also create our own custom tables, right? And the data will be always synced with the application. Whatever I enter the data in application, that always be synced with the database. Actually, data comes from the database only. If you see in online applications, you submit one form. After some days, you'll go and check the status. And when you are checking status, you want to see the information, what you feed into that time. You can just go and see the data. So how that is coming from? That is coming from the database. It stores in the tables and columns. So that actually stores somewhere. Then only you can open anytime, right? After sometime 10 days or maybe 1 month. Then after that exam or the training is completed, some point of time you could not able to access the data, which means it has been archived. Even bank statements. After 10 years, you cannot find, maybe, I don't know, that's what my understanding. After bank maintains up to 12 years or something, we will get the bank statement up to 4 to 5 years. If you need a data up, bank statement before the 4 to 5 years, you need to ask the bank explicitly to get the bank statement. So after 12 years, then there won't be bank statement because whatever the old data they have, they'll archive them. So archival process and everything will be there. Here, application sits into the Oracle Cloud. It has Oracle Cloud application itself has its own database, which has not been given access to us because it has been maintained by the Oracle. However, Oracle provides additional 2 databases where they'll sync the data. But if you do any updates to the database, which will not reflect back to the application. But in e-business suite or any applications, what happens if you update something in the database, that reflects in the back. Okay. So Oracle provides the databases here. So we can also use the databases for our customizations. And also you have Java and other on-premises applications. Now these days Oracle is not supporting on-premises. So our concentration is cloud application. Okay. But however, you have all the information, all the documentation here, which you are interested, you can just go through that. So where if you come here, we'll go to the financials. We have other modules as well, right? We go to financials. You have all books, APS and schemas for technical peoples. We have some videos. Here. One second. So sorry. Yeah. So it has videos. For example, if I play the video, okay, I'll just take a simple video. It's all like 1 minute, 2 minutes of videos, make you comfortable in the application and what kind of offerings that they are giving, that kind of thing. So I'll go to general ledger. Okay, I'll just try to, maybe this is, I just want to make it very simple video. Expense introduction. Just payable invoices, payable introduction. Okay, I'll just go through here. Let's see what it is.
What's this landing page? Manager paperwork. Signed in as an account payable manager. The recent info tile shows me how many invoices I updated or created within the last 7 days. This red slice shows
So
managers like.
So this is how it just takes like 2 minutes of 2 minutes of video. It explains the flavor of the application for the new person who logs into the application just to understand. So those kind of videos will be there initially beginning. You can go through these videos that will help you to understand what is payable screen, how it works, what is payable all about, what is payment, what is ADF sheet, that spreadsheet, for example.
Invoices work area. We entered invoices. I'll initiate the task, create invoice from spreadsheet. I'll open the file to enter the invoice information. Now I'll connect to the application. I'll use the same credentials to sign in and connect to the application. All invoice entries are in a single table. The invoice header identifier indicates a.
Right. So these videos help you about it won't give it in detail information. It's very high level information that these videos are going to offer. Okay. You guys can even videos can be talk about. And if I'm going to all books, right here, which will give a detailed information to us that whether you are a functional consultant or implementer, if you go here, it's a user. User is a business user, an implementer, administrator activities, or you are a security details, anything that you want. For example, I'm going to the implementer. Okay. I'm going to the file-based data input. Since we are training or going through this application, which is hosted by the Oracle, it is in cloud. We cannot directly access the application to create, import the data from third-party system. So we use file-based imports. Like just now in the video we have seen, right, how the Excel is being downloaded. Excel is being integrated with the application. Excel itself is asking to enter the credentials, right? Before you open Excel, it asks you to enter the credentials, which means it connects to the application. Whenever you enter the data in the application, from the Excel itself, you can submit the data. We can transfer the data to application. So Excel is integrated with the Oracle Cloud. So that kind of information will be there in the file-based import, how the file-based import works. Like if you go to journal ledger, right, we'll be having how the journals can be created, rates, daily rates, exchange, that's many things. That how can we create the transactions explicit out of the box and import into the application. So those things will be there, all the documentation. And if you wanted to go to user guide, you need to select user. Then you will get to know what are all the details. Create an administrator analytical report financial. This is for report. Likewise, we have many other documents. So every module has its own documents. We can go through in detail whenever you need. Okay. We usually concentrate on the implementation type of documents, right? Implement accounting because we are implementers. As a functional consultant, we are the implementers. So that is the documentation. We will go through in detail about the documentation. And we do have a security console. I don't know if I can able to talk about that, but yeah, let's go to the application. Let me quickly go to the application. Yesterday we talked about very high level, that are all the navigations and all those things. Let's spend some time here to understand a little more about the application. Okay. I'm trying to log into the application, then I'll get back to the screen again. So I'm just logging into the application. Instance, right? So it is hosted by Oracle. It's a demo instance and public instance that we can use for our practice, but not for the regular practice that we are talking about, because this instance is being refreshed every week. It can happen anytime. So whatever configurations you do, it won't be there. It won't be available. You can only practice within the week, and you can just complete your configuration, complete testing, everything within the week. If you have created some configurations and you could not able to complete in the week, then Oracle will refresh that entire details will get refreshed. So this public instance is only for, kind of not for practicing certain things, just verifying it, and you are able to just test certain things and all those things that you can use it and get the flavor of application, get familiar with the application, those things that you can do in private public instance. And private instance is being hosted by the CloudShine. The CloudShine itself has its own application, and that application that we are going to use for the entire practice. So where you do configurations, that configuration stays forever, end to end, which you can do, and all those things that you can do only in the private instance. Okay. Again, as I mentioned here, it provides a centralized features like a dashboards. I go to payables. Okay. Here I see only the one. Let me see if I can. Let me see what is the user that. Okay. Whatever the user that I've used is an implementer. So because as I mentioned earlier, all the screens and everything has been driven by the roles. Whatever the user I used may not be having all the access roles. So that's the reason we end up missing some of the screens. Okay, let me go to the general ledger accounting dashboard. I think we'll also have a payable dashboard. Right? So Oracle provides this kind of dashboards in every module. If you see here, there are many things that you can perform. I don't know how extent you guys are observing here. First, if I minimize that section will go. And if I expand, this will come. So here itself, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tasks that you can perform. Like requires approval. If I'm a manager, if I want to approve any invoices, that I can see here, right? and pending approvals, any approvals that is pending by the user who logs in. If I'm a manager, if I log in, you can see these approvals. You are a resource or a business user, you are creating a transaction, then this tab itself is not available unless you are a manager, then only you can see. Depends on the roles again. Everything is been driven based on the data security. So here itself I can take the action. I don't need to go to BPM and there I will approve. No, I don't need to go to approval module and then I'll see there and I need to approve. No, you just approve it from here itself. And rejected invoices. In case you are creating an invoices, if you are importing invoices from third-party system, you no need to go to invoice screen in order to correct that. You here itself you can do. So likewise, everything can be done in the one dashboard. You cannot, even though Oracle provides multiple screens, you don't need to go there. From the dashboard itself, you can perform any kind of activity to that specific modules. Likewise, every module has its own centralized dashboards. It will give you an information. Also, you can perform your regular business activities from the dashboard itself direct. Okay, I'm going to invoice screen. You see earlier in the docs.oracle.com also they were trying to explain the screen, right? When I click that video. Yesterday, let me just launch other schema. Green. This is the one. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me bring the actual one. They do the step. Yesterday we talked about info tiles here. You see here. These are all the info tiles, right? But these are all the infolets. Same way, this is called info tiles. The earlier one which we saw is infolets. The ones which we see here is info tile. Infolets can be customized. Okay, and info tiles cannot be customized. Again, in the invoice screen, earlier we talked about the dashboard, right? Dashboard give a centralized place where you can perform entire payable activity. This is specific to the invoice. And we also have in the invoice module what offerings will be having payments as well as invoicing. So this is invoicing. Likewise, we'll also have a payment section in the payables, account payables. If we go here we can also see the payments, right? So here this is specifically talk about the invoicing. Here itself we can see how many invoice. This is aging, recently created. Here also if you see here recently how many within 24 hours how many invoices are created? 6 invoices. If I select this one, this will give an aging bucket. It will go back to day before or 2 days, 3 days now. 3 days, 13 invoices are created. If I go back, if I select this one, 5 days invoices, 7 days, then it will come back to same. So this is kind of centralized kind of aging. Here also scanned related invoices aging 0 to 7 days, 8 to 14 days, 15 plus days. Again, we have some hold concept in invoices. How many invoices which got hold? How many invoices which created from the purchase order and all those approval process and prepaid invoices and everything will be there. This is called info file, right? So again, here in the same place, we have the reporting also. Yesterday I was talking about reporting is something different. Something is a BI tool, right? I just duplicated this one. I just right click and did the duplication. Okay? And I'm connecting to the analytics. This is actually a BI which sits separately, but anyway, application and BI both are in sync. Now, whatever reports we build here, business users don't know how the screen works. The technical person, I'll create custom reports, maybe delivered reports also will be there here. business users can able to access from here. You see this reporting and analytics. If you select here, you will get the same reporting structure. You see here, if I go to catalog, you have my folder and share folder, right? Same thing you are seeing it, my folder and share folder analytics. So when you expand this one, you will not get all the reports which is available in the BI. You will only get the reports specific to the accounts payable. For example, if I expand this one, I only get the reports which are related to the payable, even though this section has the reports across all the modules. Everything will be there here, but it has been tagged that we will get only AP related reports. So here itself, you can run the report. You don't need to go to BI. And there's a different search screens we have it. If I go to invoice screen, this is one type of search screen we'll be having. Earlier, I was talking about we have a centralized search screen here also. We will go to that search screen. Any search box we get here is a search box for entire application. Any search thing that we get here is specific to only the invoice screen. Even the search screen can be customized. For example, if I go to, let me see. Yeah. If I hit the advanced button, I have only these columns. This is not helping me to search. I need to add few more columns. I can add, for example, status, accounting status, accounting code status. Okay. Approval status, right? I can add the approval status. This is the approval status. Then I can provide the approval status. Then a search. I can also add, I can also fill some details here. Assume that our batch will be 08 INV. And I can give some business group and I can save that. If I save this one, it will be in the favorites. Okay, let me hit the save button. I'll show you. So we can save with some name like test B08 or something. And whenever you come to the screen, you just select this test, this favorite. You don't need to fill this information again. Usually business users end up filling 3 to 4 columns every time, or maybe multiple columns every time to search certain data. Rather, they can fill the details and save it as a favorite. Every time they comes in the screen, they don't need to fill the details again. Select the favorite, whatever it is there in the list, and automatically system will search the details. And whenever you save this one, you can make it as default. Run automatic, meaning right after you come to the screen, it whatever search criteria that you saved, it will automatically execute and generate the results here. So that kind of flexibility that we have, these are all flexibilities and user friendly for the business users, not the functional consultant though, but these are all helpful to the business users. Right? This is how the search criteria works. This is the actual regular application. We have different of themes, as I mentioned, like, if you go to here, this is a different theme. This is a different theme, right? So this is the part of application. And on top of this one, we will also talk about how to create a resume, right? And we talk about how to create a resume and create a resume in a summarized fashion where people can easily understand, make your resume powerful. That also is being discussed. Okay. Any questions? Any doubts till now? Or anything that you guys wanted to ask? And okay. Am I audible? Am I speaking? You guys are available? Yeah, someone is asking the question. Thank you, Varad. Okay, how we can use public instance? It is just a live session instance in VBS. Yes, it's a vision instance, like a vision instance. Public instance is like a vision instance. Usually, e-business suite vision instance is available in open forum, right? Open market. But the public instance is not been given as an open market. It has been only given to the customers who actually purchase their application. Vision instance, even I can type vision instance in EBS here. I can log in. Vision instance, right? I can easily get the Vision instance, Oracle community, maybe, yeah. There will be the Vision instance that I can get and I can use for practice. But this public instance, whatever we are seeing right now, is not being given in the public forum. These instances are given to the customers who actually purchase the Oracle product. So, however, CloudShine has a customer to the Oracle. I would say that Oracle supports the CloudShine as well. So they have given the Vision instance for practice as well. But this is frequently refreshed by the Oracle, and this has all the configurations. You don't need to do configuration, but you can do your own configurations for testing. This application already has the configuration so that you can use this for, especially for fit gap analysis. Someone has asked the question, right? So we can use this instance for fit gap analysis time. And also you can use this for practice. Within 1 week, how much extent you can practice, you can do it. Okay, there is one more question someone asked. If any fields is not available and add fields, and can we add them? Yeah. Any table columns that is not available. So I'm going back to the same screen. Let me go to invoice screen. I am going to the invoice creations. Let this come. So anything, even here, I have only few information. I want to add some columns. You can add it. And I want to make some columns. For example, this is not mandatory. I want to make this column as mandatory. I can make it. So we can customize at some extent. Not entire page can be customized, right? Customizations are allowed. Okay. What is HDE? Someone can ask. Update like invoice number, like we do in Ebiz. Everything, yeah, whatever you see. Fusion application is upgraded version to the e-business suite. Whatever functionalities that we have in Ebiz, everything can be possible. On top of that, you will get an advanced features. Only thing that we cannot do it here it is how extensive customization that we do for form customizations that we do in Ebiz, right? That we cannot do. We'll create forms from scratch that we cannot do. But however, we can create ADF pages and we can plug in. ADF pages is a different technology, but we can plug in into the main screen. Like we have not entered any details. That's the reason it's saying that So here we can plug in. We can add one more screen as a new screen from external page which we built using OAF technology or any of the Apex or anything. That kind of customization that we can do, but we cannot do too much of customization. We cannot write our own PLSQL packages because we don't have any database, right? Yeah. So any more doubts, any questions? You want to take? Okay. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yes, Ram.
Yeah, I think we are good. And yeah, I think looks like no one has any questions. I'll stop the recording.
Yeah, sure.